They're musicians, and they're immersed in Portland's underground music scene. They play together for many years in their independent musical endeavors like Cult Maze, Brenda, White Light, Planets Around the Sun, and Boxy. These are some of the groups. And they actually did a proposal to the Maine Arts Commission that led to a grant, and you're going to see the results of this grant right now. Josh photographed Portland musicians practicing, performing, and working their day jobs, and Ian put his administrative hat on in his role here at the Space Gallery as events programmer. And Ian's been doing a lot of pulling things together today, that's for sure. And the results are a strong argument for supporting musicians with the same dedication we provide for visual artists. It drives the point home that supporting musicians is supporting the arts. Ian Paige, Joshua Loring.
Boy, here we go.
Here we go. Stepping it up.
Yeah, you can keep back this bass.
Okay. Everybody all right?
Ready. All right, everyone. Here's your future, the depths of winter in Portland, Maine. It's a harsh scene, but we love it here. And part of the reason why is, I think, a high artist per capita ratio. And this is one of the most collaborative, creative places that I've ever seen with the strongest music scene. And our project is designed to tell the rest of the world that.
Do-it-yourself is the name of the game for local musicians. Mandy is the bass player for jangle pop outfit Honey Clouds and is seen here converting a garage that will double as her band's practice space and the home base for her bandmate Ron Harity's record label Peapod Recordings.
And speaking of Honey Clouds, we've got Sean Wilkinson here, a graphic designer, and he's looking posh, surrounded by some of his work. He's the former designer for The Bollard. Sean also designed the booklet for this project that will be with an accompanying CD.
One goal of the project was to depict musicians at their day jobs. Some have creative jobs in the arts sector like Sean. Others have more unusual jobs. This is Brian, the guitarist of the punk band The Rattlesnakes. He works as a scientist whose company neutralizes asbestos sites for safe demolition. He's also a shredding guitarist at night, so there you go. He's putting on his little mask to protect from the particles.
And this is Jay. He used to be in a band with Josh called Cult Maze. You can see, you'll start to see a pattern that things get pretty incestuous when talking about the Portland rock scene. Jay is working at Goodwill. And I feel like this is an example of you never know in Portland that shy person behind the counter might be the kind of person that comes alive on stage and fronts one of the most popular rock bands in the city.
Yeah, even if they're not your bartender or your insurance agent, they're usually providing some invaluable community service, such as Jay's bandmate Jason, who heads the adult day program at Maine Vocational Rehabilitation Associates. Here he is making art with some of his most important clients.
An important theme that popped up for me is how musicians respond to institutional support. Oscar from Gully here has appeared on stage at Space as part of our Hometown Heroes series, which was made possible by a grant from the Davis Foundation. And it's designed to help us pay local bands what they're worth. I've watched a marked change when we can actually pay a band that reflects the time they spend on their craft.
During the course of the project, Oscar's band Gully lost original bass player to the sister band, the Rattlesnakes, but no hard feelings, though, because Gully can still be found whooping it up at a Rattlesnakes party like in this picture.
This is another side of Tara, who's the lead singer of the Rattlesnakes.
A couple of years back, a power trio of teenage rockers started playing around at places like Space and Geno's, to much acclaim from the indie community. They began as Modern Syndrome and are now called Turn Down Day. They got off to a meteoric start and are still in high school. Perhaps they'll be on the road constantly in 10 years or working on the 5th floor of an insurance agency in Westbrook, like this guy, Jeremy Alexander. He's the songwriter and the singer for An Evening With. Jeremy has been referred to as Papa Bear for the early Springsteen-like stoicism of his unique brand of contemporary Americana. Very stoic. And these guys are Jason and Todd of An Evening With, and they're recording their latest album at Acadia Studios in Bayside.
Mark and Gina run Acadia Recordings and used to work here, and they continue that space mentality, that mission on their own by providing quality recordings for local musicians. They have a new TV project that is hopefully coming out with NPBN that reveals the creative and recording process of local bands. And that project to me is one of those institutional mirrors that lets musicians and audience alike see that we have it all here. We don't need to look elsewhere for it. And that launch party for the show is here at Space this Friday.
This is Mike Cunan, who drums for both the Rattlesnakes and a band called HUAC. This is Jake and Joel, the dual frontmen for HUAC, and this is them performing at the first annual Arts and Music Picnic.
Ron Harity from Honey Clouds, Peapod Recordings, coordinates Picnic with his partner Diane from Ferdinand, also a musician. And it features crafters, visual artists, and live music side by side in Lincoln Park. And the synergy in Portland is obvious to see at an event like this. Producers and consumers, and we're all subscribing to that DIY ethic. And we also call that buy local, I think. Here we have Tara from Rattlesnakes, and is that the defunct bass player you were talking about?
That's the Gully bass player.
And here's one of my bands, Kersey Eustis, playing at Space. Matt, in the upper left, he writes the songs for Kersey Eustis and runs the label we're all on called La Animo Trist Field Recordings. We're more of a family than more like a collective Hydra heads of vision for each individual band, but we all play with each other. And here's another one, Tempera. And you'll see some similar faces there. We recently received a Good Idea grant from the Maine Arts Commission to help us promote the label, and we're selling records all over the world and are very grateful from little old Portland, Maine.
So there's the big collectives, and then there are also the individual players who really stand out and make an impact in multiple projects. This is Leif Sherman Curtis, seen in the meat locker of his restaurant job. He's involved in at least 3 functioning bands, ranging in style from doom to flamenco to self-described gypsy robo-jazz. So he really reaches in and pulls it out. Alaric Vincent Nez is another iconoclast in Portland, and he's a multi-instrumentalist who's contributed his guitarrone, his violin, his trombone, his clarinet, and his electric guitar to innumerable projects around town, and still finds time to front 2 bands of his own, all of original music, and holds down 2 jobs, one as a carpenter during the day and then another at Ono Cafe.
Leif and Alaric both participated in the 48-Hour Music Festival that happened here last February, similar to the 48-Hour Film Festival in practice. Also, that was from a Davis Foundation grant. And it was Leif's brainchild, who you saw earlier, and to me, he's the biggest case study of the positive effects of grant support for musicians. No one got paid for this project, but we had the extra cash to make one of the most creative collaborative events I've ever seen here. And it wasn't an uphill battle. I watched Leif rise from a sort of poor me mentality that affects a lot of musicians, and it transformed into a leader and an amazing administrator. And I think he took that with him when he went home. The point is, paying artists is like supporting artists with the same fervor that we do with visual arts makes amazing things happen. There's a proof of the booklets that are coming out on the table back there. Check it out. We're going to have a release party for the whole thing with all these bands playing on the 27th of November, day after Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. They went slightly